If your anxiety is blocking your intuition, you're not imagining it. Here's how to regain clarity and reconnect with your inner voice. If you're feeling stuck in that cycle of anxiety and struggling to trust your intuition, you're not alone. It's a tough spot to be, and it's completely understandable if you're constantly swinging between doubt and clarity. Many of us go through these rotations, and it's okay if it doesn't feel linear or easy. The important thing is that there are ways to move forward, and you're completely capable of managing your anxiety and reconnecting with your intuition. I've been on both ends of the spectrum, struggling with massive anxiety and inability to trust myself, and at other times being fully and completely in tune with my intuition. These cycles weren't linear, they were rotational, where I'd find myself moving back and forth between the two. Now, I've learned so many lessons that I don't need to go back to that overwhelmingly anxious place, and that's what I want to share with you. I'm also thrilled to have found this book, Intuitive Intelligence by Paul O'Brien, because it explains so many things that I've been intuitively doing without really having the words for it. My favorite part about this book is that it explains so many things in a logical way so I can fully understand it, which is what I need in order to be able to comprehend things. And there is a way to explain everything, even when explaining it tells us that it's not our job to fully understand it. It's an amazing book, and I strongly recommend it, but I'm going to utilize certain lessons that are relevant to what I want to speak about in this video. In this book, the author says that receiving signals from infinite intelligence, or collective unconscious as Carl Jung calls it, is like receiving signals via wireless network, which I thought was a really cool explanation. To do this, we need a clear connection without static interference, competing for the mental bandwidth. The biggest blocks to intuition's clear reception are caused by really strong emotions like worry, anxiety, fear, anger, and greed. When our mind reacts to or ruminates on repetitive negative thinking or emotions, our awareness constricts, so we have less capacity to be able to notice synchronicities or hunches. The first step in listening to your intuition is managing your anxiety. In my previous video on how to be productive with severe anxiety, I go more in depth on what made the biggest difference for managing my anxiety. So if you want a little bit more context and depth on that particular topic, go watch that video first. Currently, I probably experience anxiety 10 to 20% of my time. In the past, that number was closer to 95%. So here are my top 3 habits for managing anxiety. Number 1 is quality sleep. I don't do social media in the evening, I don't doom scroll for hours before bed, and I don't eat my last meal at least 2, preferably 3 hours before bed, because I know that's going to affect the quality of my sleep. I'm also careful with how much water I drink late at night, because I don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom. Number 2 is resistance training 4 times per week and daily walks. There's tons of research in both of these things being extremely beneficial for managing anxiety. Number 3 is no alcohol. 1 to 2 drinks would heighten my anxiety for 4 to 5 days afterwards. So when you look at it from a monthly perspective, if you're having 1 to 2 drinks a week, my anxiety would be heightened 16 to 20 days out of the month. So from a practical standpoint, it's just not worth it. I've tried biohacking this with supplements and experimenting with different things, but I've always come to the same solution. No alcohol is way better for me. For me, anxiety was a signal pointing to all of the things that I needed to change. And once I did, it improved massively in a matter of weeks. The second step in listening to your intuition is practicing emotional intelligence. As someone who didn't learn how to manage emotions as a child or even a teenager, I had to learn on my own as an adult the hard way. I went from one end of the spectrum, dissociating from my feelings, my body, and intellectualizing my emotions, to the complete opposite of having zero control over emotional reactivity, outbursts, and crying every day, multiple times for months. The most important advice I have for you is to deal with your emotions as they come up. Use them as signals and guides to figure out what's currently present for you and what needs to be addressed. It will be much easier and you will save a lot more time in the long run by addressing emotions right away instead of suppressing them. One of the reasons that people have such a hard time with this is because they are scared of being vulnerable, which I get it. I used to be the same. This would be a topic for a different video, so if you want to learn more about how to be vulnerable and how to use it for personal growth, let me know in the comments and I can make a separate video on that. Back to emotional intelligence. Become a neutral observer of your thoughts and emotions. Not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, the same way you're not your spleen, your lungs. Yes, it's really fucking hard feeling an unpleasant emotion, but did you know that you can only feel an emotion in your body for about 90 seconds? Everything past that is a narrative that you're creating in your head. Now, I would rather deal with things as they come up, process them, and move on, instead of suppressing my emotions, not acknowledging them, and then exploding in the worst possible way. This is really important. I do not shame myself for feeling bad. I do not shame myself for feeling unpleasant emotions. It's pointless, counterproductive, and honestly, a waste of time. As a Capricorn stellium, time is of the utmost importance. The last step is learning how to actually hear yourself. Paula Brand says that intuition often comes in a form of a bodily feeling. So it's really important to be able to differentiate from really strong emotions and your intuition. One way is to check with your heart. Is the feeling that you are experiencing connected to something or someone that you deeply care about? It says that you'll feel a positive or a heartfelt component to intuitive signals, while really strong emotions like fear are head-oriented. So think catastrophic thinking. He says that if a desire is not coming from the heart, it's most likely ego-inspired instead of destiny-driven. Our ego operates in the past or in the future. The minute we pay attention to the present moment, the ego self essentially dissolves. This mental state of pure being is called mindfulness, and it's a primary tool for the development of intuitive intelligence. My favorite tools for cultivating mindfulness are freehand journaling and meditation, but I also practice consciously staying present throughout the day as much as I can. But the ultimate, most fun way of practicing mindfulness is play. He describes play as an enjoyable form of mindfulness in action. Think about it, when you are playing, having fun, laughing, you are in the present moment, and it's almost like nothing else exists. He says that play disrupts logic, allowing us to let go of thinking and create space for insight and inspiration. Breakthroughs, even the most intellectual and sophisticated ones, can manifest only at times when we disengage from what we know and from what we understand logically. Play disconnects us from reason and logic and opens us up to new and different thoughts we wouldn't otherwise have access to. Intuitive intelligence activates the profound, yet often intangible, interactions between instinct and play. To recap, in the book Intuitive Intelligence, the author says that intuition is like downloading information from the collective unconscious, but it requires a clear mental connection. Anxiety, worry, fear, or other strong emotions block intuition by creating interference. To improve your intuition, start by managing your anxiety through habits like resistance training, quality sleep, and avoiding substances like alcohol. Next, practice emotional intelligence by observing and processing your emotions as they come up without judgment. Lastly, learn how to differentiate between intuition and really strong emotions by tuning into your body and your heart. Mindfulness practices like meditation, journaling, or even play can help you stay present and open to receiving intuitive insights. If you have any questions or you would like me to go more in depth on a particular topic, let me know in the comments and I will see you in the next video.